Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home. Welcome everybody to the Heal Your Hunger Show. So happy to have you here. It is a great day to be alive, and you are going to love my guests today. Yes, two of them. They're a couple. They're a power couple, and they are so sweet and so vibrant, and you're going to feel so good listening to this. Okay. So if you're feeling a little like you're lacking energy or life's a little dull, stay tuned. You're not going to feel that way in about 30 minutes. So if you're here at the Heal Your Hunger Show for the first time, welcome. I really want to tell you that you are in a beautiful, wonderful, loving place where we talk about things that go way beyond diet and exercise, because that's not the solution to your weight loss struggles. Chances are you've tried a few diets, okay, and you've tried many exercise programs. It's really not about that. It's not about the food. It's about going deeper and dealing with the life stressors that drive us to the refrigerator. And that's exactly what today's show is about as well, relationship stressors. Also, I am streaming this live into the Secret Sauce group. So you can join us on Facebook and ask questions and comment and be with others who are really excited to take a new tack, get off the diet track, and heal their relationship with food. And we do that in our Facebook group. It's called The Secret Sauce to End Emotional Eating Now. So join us there. And also, if you haven't seen my TEDx talk, I am shamelessly plugging it, but it's not about me. It's really about getting a really important message out to the world. So if you could check that out and comment, and share it with others who you think might be interested. It's called Emotional Eating: What If Weight Loss Isn't About the Food? I'm really proud of it. It's an important message, and if when you do share it, it could possibly help somebody take that important step to reach out and get the help they need with food and weight, so they can stop suffering, stop struggling, and stop beating their head against the wall with diets. Okay, so thank you so much. You just go to YouTube and type in Tricia Nelson TEDx and it should pop up. So thank you in advance for that. And also thank you for sharing this show with those who might also be interested in taking a new direction in healing their relationship with food. Okay, on with the show. Hey, everybody. Welcome back for another episode of the Heal Your Hunger Show. I'm so excited to share this beautiful couple with you. And I'm doing this live from the Secret Sauce group because I want you to say hey. So please say hello in the chat. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. And we can even later have Jason and Tina Marie answer those questions. But the cool thing is, this is a power couple that you're going to want to hear from. Okay. If you're in a relationship and you want to make it better, you want to go to the next level, these are your folks. Okay. So Jason and Tina Marie are relationship coaches, and they're also hosts of the weekly podcast Loving Beyond the I Do. And I was on that podcast. Thank you, Jason and Tina Marie. And I just had so much fun, and I just loved their energy. I'm like, we got to bring them over here. So, so Jason and Tina Marie are committed to building stronger marriages mentally, physically, financially, and spiritually. Sounds good, doesn't it? They're empowered and dedicated to helping married couples build, maintain, and enjoy the ultimate marriage. And they do that by walking their talk. And so you'll feel it. And I'm just really excited to have you guys here. Welcome, Tina Marie and Jason.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tricia. Yes. We really appreciate it.
For inviting us. We
are
honored
for sure.
to be here.
Very much so.
Well, you're wonderful, and your love for each other and just love of life is infectious, and I'm all about that. So I'm really happy to have you here. And this is such an important topic. My zone, what I do is I help people with emotional eating, and we don't emotionally eat in a vacuum. We emotionally eat when life is stressful and we don't know where to put our feelings. And oftentimes those feelings come from relationship issues, right?
Yes, it does.
So it's really a living problem, not an eating problem. So what I always love to do is help people learn how to live more effectively. And of course, you guys are doing it by really, learning how to love, learning how to just improve your relationship. It is not an easy thing to be in relationship with another human being.
No, it is not. Especially if they don't think like you.
Right.
I'm glad that you're doing it, and I'm glad that you're teaching other people how to do it more effectively. So as I said before we started, I'm just going to ask you questions that I want to know the answers to. Okay.
Sounds good. Let's go. Let's spread this wisdom all over the world.
Yep. So I know that relationships aren't easy, and I ended that relationship, although we're still friends, thank God. And then I've gone on to, I'm just coming up on 1 year with the love of my life, basically. So I'm really
wonderful.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that. But hey, I want to know how to make it last. So talk to me about what are some of the common problems first that you hear over and over again?
Well, most people, when they meet, they're not authentic. So they're not showing them their true selves in the very beginning. So when we go to meet someone, we're trying to put on that best version of ourselves.
Right.
That's something that we can't keep up. Something, I'll do some things that I'm not willing to keep up, but I'm going to do it to probably get the person that I'm going after.
I agree. And we don't think beyond that, right? We think, okay, I'm going to show the best version of myself. But then once we get to know each other, it's okay for me to stop doing these things. And the other person is like, well, hey, what happened? And you're like, well, I didn't think you're thinking to yourself, well, I'll cook. Let's say, for instance, a woman who really doesn't cook, which is me, right? So there's no need for me to try to impress him with dinner for the first month. And then if we decide to take it further and get married, he's going to be expecting that. And I'm like, well, I don't cook all the time. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, you cooked when we were dating. I just assumed that you love to cook. And I'm thinking, I hate cooking. So we have to stop. If we want relationships to have an actual chance at survival, be authentic. Show up as yourself, because that's who you are. You want the person that you're meeting to love who you are. Otherwise, you're going to lose yourself.
Yeah.
So, and you don't want that person showing up somebody else, because you don't want to wake up one day and go, who are you?
That's what happened in the majority of the relationships. You wake up and it's like, well, you don't do the things you used to. It's like, I didn't like doing those things when I were doing them, but now that we're together, this is who I really am.
Or you don't see their anger, or you don't see their issues with being able to communicate, or being able to effectively express themselves, because the first is the honeymoon phase, right? You're getting to know each other. You're putting on your best behavior. No one wants to argue. No one wants to show the bad part of themselves. But sometimes you're setting yourself up for failure if you're not showing the person who you really are. It's human, right? It's human to have disagreements. It's human to like different things, and it's okay to disagree, but we have to be able to do it in a manner that's respectful to each person.
Yeah, I love that. And honestly, I did actually used to do that before my 30-year marriage. I had a window of about 6 months where I'd do exactly what you're talking about, where I would put it on. I was so perfect. And then I'm like, oh man, I cannot keep this up,
So you would go eat. You would go eat, right? Because you were like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I don't know.
Yeah. So I totally get that. And when I went back to dating after being in my marriage, for so long, I was like, it's gonna be, let's just cut to the chase. This is who I am. Like me or move on, otherwise it's like, what's the point? Like, really, what's the point of living that charade? It's so much better to be loved for who you are, warts and all.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it's so much easier, right? It takes a lot of work to remember, who am I today? Who am I supposed to be?
Right.
How do I do this?
Right.
It's so much easier just because you have to love yourself, which takes me to another thing. When we're talking about relationships, you have to love the person that you are.
Ooh.
You have to self-develop, self-love. And if you don't know how to love yourself, how do you expect the person that you're meeting to love you or to show you love if you don't even know what it is that you love about yourself?
And that's the thing. If you don't know what you want for yourself, you very well can express that to someone else. Now,
Well,
you'll just
or-
go as the
Yeah, or expect them to figure it out. It's
Right.
like, we can't expect people to be mind readers, right?
Mhm.
And so
But we do, right?
course.
We do in relationships.
yes,
and that's where resentment comes from, right?
exactly. You don't get me. No, I don't get you because you don't get you. Right.
Or you didn't
Exactly.
show up as you. You didn't
Right.
show up as, or sometimes we what also may make a relationship fail is that you're comparing it to the last relationship. So you want someone new, you want a different experience, you
Mhm.
want to know love, but
Mhm.
then you're comparing that person to the last relationship, and that last relationship didn't work.
Right.
So why are we
Right.
comparing? So we have to stop self-sabotaging our relationships
Yep.
before we even give it a chance.
Yeah. You're just sitting
Yeah.
there in the relationship waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, I knew it's gonna happen. I'm just waiting for it. And then when that opportunity presents itself, you say, I knew that was gonna happen.
Right,
Well, guess
right.
what? Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
happens.
You kind of manifested that one.
There you go. Right.
And the crazy
Yeah.
part, Tricia, is that we don't see that. We
Right.
don't think that we manifested that.
Right.
Right.
We can't we're in denial with the part that we play lots of
Exactly.
times.
Yeah. So, okay. So you're a relationships coaches. How long have you been married?
31 years in June.
You see, I let her answer that.
Good move. Really good
Yeah.
move. Super
Yes.
smooth. So 31 years, that's amazing. And
Mhm.
congratulations. That's
Thank
beautiful.
you.
It is not easy to have a long-term relationship. And I think a lot of the people listening are in long-term relationships, and trying to make it work. And so I think they could probably use some pointers on how to do that. Where do you find is a good place to start? Somebody's like, things have grown dull. We're not, the spark's gone. We're just roommates. I'm sure you hear this. We're just roommates.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Friends. The sex is gone, long time gone. Like, how do you, what's the first step to changing that? If somebody's like, look, something's got to give here. I don't want this to be just a regular roommate situation.
Right.
I want to make this last, and I want to make it good. Where's a good place to start?
I'll say this: clarity in yourself. So
Okay.
if you know what you want, then you can get it. So we go back to that, right?
Yeah.
So I need to be able to express it. I just can't go along with the relationship how the wind blows. So we normally tell our clients, okay, let's get clear on some things. What do you want? What do you want your relationship to be?
And what part do you want to play in it? But the biggest thing, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but the biggest thing is maintaining. We don't maintain our relationships. We think of relationships in a totally different category than everyone else. So we buy a car, and what do we have to do?
Maintain it. We got to do that
Right?
maintenance.
If you don't get an oil change and you don't wash it and you don't take care of it, you don't get a tune-up. So Jason often says we have to get marriage tune-ups. We have to do that.
Mhm.
So if marriage is the one area that no one in the past really talked about or discovered or said,
No education, no reading, nothing.
It was fluff, right? It's the happily ever after. So we went into marriage thinking that it's a happily ever after. So
Yeah.
I don't have to, I'm going to get married. I'm in love today. I'm going to be in love for the rest of my life. And then you go, what happened? Well, what happened is that you didn't maintain that love. You didn't continue to do the things that show me love. So then in return, I didn't continue to do the things that show you love.
Yeah.
So we have to truly understand that a relationship is just like a job. If you want, a neurosurgeon,
promotion.
right? If a neurosurgeon didn't wake up one day and say, well, today I want to be a neurosurgeon, so I'm just going to go and operate. We have to understand that it takes education, it takes time, it takes development, all those things in a marriage too. Most people go into marriage not even really understanding what marriage is.
True.
What part do they play? What
Right.
role am I doing? How do I express my love? So we have to, all those things we did in the beginning, we have to continue to do them.
So
And maybe not to that same extent.
right.
Mhm.
So where's the breakdown typically?
We don't have
I know everybody's different, but what's a very typical breakdown in a relationship?
they don't understand where they're going. They're just getting married for the sake of getting married because society says we need to get married.
And
right?
they don't talk about the dreams.
Right.
They don't talk about their
Debt,
goals.
they don't talk about all those things that affect the marriage after a while. We had a client
Stuff, right?
that
The real stuff.
right.
Yes.
So
yes.
we had a client, excuse me, that found out after they said I do that the spouse was like $100,000 in debt for school.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is something that the other person was like, I'm out of here.
Like
I don't want to take on
They wanted
this.
to get a divorce right after they got married because
yes.
they weren't honest. And it's not that people are deliberately not being honest. I think if we don't talk about it, we don't know how to talk about it.
Right.
So these are conversations. Marriage is about real life. Most people think, okay, I'm going to find that person and, life is just going to be so blissful. We don't have to discuss any of the hard issues because, once I get married, everything's going to be perfect.
Right. It is not a panacea.
No, it is not.
Yes,
That's when the rubber meets the road, right? When you're sitting there and you're going through bills and you'd be like, oh, by the way, baby, I'm like $100,000 in debt with school.
Or you're not very good with finances.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that we don't know how to bring up and talk about before marriage, but we need to. It's nothing, and I think it's an ego thing. How do you sit across from the person that you're trying to get to know, and now you're like, oh, things are wonderful. We don't want to disrupt the wonderful.
Yeah.
Right. So we don't want to have hard and real conversations because we're thinking, okay, well, if I say this, then they won't want to marry me.
Yeah.
But again, so then we're not being our true self.
Yeah.
If I can come to the person that I'm thinking about marrying and say, well, you know what, I know we're getting serious and we may want to get married, but I'm not really good with money. Or I have a lot of debt. Maybe I should, let's postpone it. What do you think about that? Are you willing to take that on with me? Like just being able to openly and honestly have conversations that deal with real life because marriage is about real life.
And also having affection, like some people aren't that affectionate. So once you get married, you're like, oh, he'll change. We'll be together all the time and he's going to really love me. He's going to express that love. And if he doesn't express the love, then what? So what we tell him is, you got to understand who you're marrying.
We want people
whatever
to change.
They are while you're dating is who you're going to have in the marriage.
We think that once we say I do, that person's going to change to our image, our expectations, and that's who the person is.
And that's
why it's really important to show up as who you are, right?
Yes, exactly. No, it's so true, and it's people. I think the delusion that we're going to change somebody and make somebody into who we want them to be. If they're not that way, that's a delusion. That's not going to happen.
No, or they're just going to change. They're going to know, as you said, they're a mind reader. They're just going to change to what we think they're going to be.
Because you have this idea in your head and you're like, okay, when we get married, you're not going to do those things.
Right. So, we have issues with people who may smoke or drink and people think, okay, well, we're dating. This is the partying part. Once we get married, somebody, they may not like smoking, but they're willing to go along through the dating process, thinking that once they get married,
they're going to change for me.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a funny story. When I started going on dating apps, I would I wanted to FaceTime with somebody, or do a video call right away, or if somebody I love, they seemed interesting, I'd say, let's get on a FaceTime call. And and they think, well, that's really forward, but I'm like, no, it's a good use of my time. I can get it, I figure it out really fast. I don't want to waste time going across town to a coffee or something. So this guy, we get on FaceTime and he says hello and maybe one sentence. And I said, you're a smoker, aren't you? And he looks at me like he was caught and he's like, yeah. He said, how do you know that? I was like, I can hear your voice. I can pick things up, and I was clear he had been smoking a long time. He'd done damage to his vocal cords. And I said, well, I know, right? It's sad. But I said, I don't date smokers. And he's like, well, and he was really thrown by it. And he started telling me that he could quit. He's like, no, I only started again. I was a smoker and then I stopped and I just went back to it. He's like, but I can quit. And I said, you're not going to quit for me. I said, let's be real. Nobody stops an addiction for somebody else. You don't stop till you're sick and tired. It's true for food. It's true for alcohol. It's true for smoking. So
absolutely.
That was the end of it. It made him really feisty though. He kept after me for a while. He's like, I'm going to quit. I'm like, no, you're not going to quit.
That's a good one for you. One for Tricia.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah. No smokers for me.
And unfortunately that revelation that we get unfortunately comes after a certain age, right? If we could do this in the beginning,
I know.
right? We meet someone we don't like certain traits, but we're willing to, you know, put up with it because they're cute,
Yeah.
or everybody wants them.
that was,
We're the
yeah,
lucky one.
that was my first marriage. Yeah, it's true. It comes with age. It's so true. I was never that direct when I was younger. I was never that clear on who I was, you know, and
Exactly.
that clarity is just like you're saying, that is so important. Know who you are. So, you know, getting into a relationship, we are beyond the I do, you know, a couple decades. Where are things, how do you guys keep it fresh? Like, how do you keep going strong at 31 years? That is not an easy thing.
I beat them at night.
Yeah.
No.
And I always, and I always tell people, I just kept coming back home. That's it. Every day. I just kept coming home.
We actually, you know, I don't know. Our personalities are really silly. Like we just, you know, we have fun.
That is so important.
You know, life is serious enough. It doesn't, we don't have to be serious about everything. You know, we can sit down and be serious when we need to be serious, but for the most part, let's just enjoy the fact that we have each other. I know lots of times, Jason and I are talking, and I'm like, you know, people don't realize, you know, they love their mate, but they don't show the love. But when they lose them, they're so, you know, distraught that they lost them. But when they were there,
you didn't appreciate it.
You know, we take each other for granted.
Yes.
We really do. We take that person that we love the most, but we put them last. You know,
it reminds me of that song. I think it's a Meghan Trainor song, but she sang it with John Legend. I'm going to love you like I'm going to lose you.
There you go.
Right? Yes. Like if we knew, if we didn't love them enough, they were going to go, we'd like amp up our loving, wouldn't we?
And we wouldn't major in the minors. We would stop thinking that things that are so small, making them so huge. You know, let's just enjoy life. If it's something that's not going to, you know, really be detrimental to us, then let's start, you know, it's not about ego. It's not about, no one wins in a relationship. No one wins when I'm trying to win all the time. We both lose, you know, so if there's no winner, there's no loser. There's, you know, we have to change our mindset when we think about relationships, because if we don't, we're going into it, you know, halfway defeated.
That's right.
Yeah. What about, I mean, you're such enthusiastic people, and you're clearly like into personal development, making your lives better, making yourselves better, which is so key. But what about, you know, you must see couples where one person's, you know, working on themselves and another person's not interested. And so there's a breakdown, right? Like they don't want to improve themselves or look at themselves. Like, what do you do in that situation?
Well, see, our coaches and as relationship coaches, we're not counselors. So there's certain situations, the people that we deal with, they're both trying to move in the same direction.
Okay, I got you.
So, because you won't get to us unless you're like, okay, we're trying to do better. Like our life is okay, but
we both want to.
Yes, yes, because like you said, there are those people, and oftentimes because they don't want to make that change, they're making it hard for the other person to make that change. So we're looking for people who are trying to make their relationship better,
right?
Stronger,
don't know how, don't know what's the next step.
Right. And that starts with the person, right?
Yeah.
I can't want my relationship to be better if I'm not trying to be the best version of myself.
Yeah. That attitude is so important.
Yes.
But one thing too, the couple may not start at the same time. So you may have one that's out in front, and then as you change, the relationship change, and also the way that you look at your relationship changes. So you can't help to say, hey, I like that. I want some of that. All right. Yeah. And then the other person kind of comes on.
Well, that's so true, because that happens with my clients too. You know, they're working on their food issues, but it's really not a food issue. It's a living issue. So they're up leveling their lives in totality. And even if their spouse is not really on board, they start to see and feel the difference in their spouse. And that can make a difference in the relationship for sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, it can bring two things. It can bring envy and jealousy, or it can bring, well, wow, like she did or he did make that change. I want if they can do it, I can do it. Like, come on, let's do it together. So
Mhm.
it can bring two different type of feelings.
Yeah. Well, what also happens is, when my ladies start feeling better about themselves and their food choices and their bodies, they want to have sex again. So that immediately makes
There
things
you go. Yeah. Yep.
Sex
It
is
just
always
went up.
good.
Yep.
Sex is
that
always
helps.
good.
It really helps.
I'm glad you mentioned sex, because women often, one of the things we often see is intimacy. So the word intimacy has a lot of different meanings for a lot of different people, right? But for the female, intimacy usually means touching, kissing, telling me you love me,
Mhm.
showing me affection outside of the bedroom.
Mhm.
Whereas intimacy for a man is, I want to be connected sexually.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I
Mhm.
want you,
So true.
I want to feel love, which means that if I want to have more sex, I don't want you to withhold it.
Right.
And women look at sex as a bargaining tool, and it's not.
Mhm.
It's something that,
Mm-mm.
the thing is, what's the purpose of marriage? Let's think about it. What's the purpose of marriage? It's so that you're not having sex with people that, that you're not spiritually, attached to, right? Or
Yeah.
so we get married so that sex is something that we can have,
Yeah.
right? So that we're not all over the place,
That's
or
right.
that we shouldn't, outside of, the biblically, right?
Right.
So if the whole purpose in getting married is to have sex with this person, with my husband,
Mhm.
why would I get married to not have sex?
Yeah.
That just
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. Again, it's mindset. We have to stop thinking that, sex is something that I'm going to bless you with it when you're good. The thing is that if I'm not getting the love outside of the bedroom, and then I'm withholding and I'm not giving you the love inside the bedroom, and so how does
Definitely.
that going to make him
That's
love me more?
Yeah.
It's
I'm
like a
not.
vicious
Yeah.
cycle that goes round and round.
It's
You're
so
not giving it to me, I'm not
true.
going to give it to you. He feels, well, but I'm not getting love, I'm not going to show you love. So we have to start thinking differently and doing things differently.
Yeah. Foreplay starts in the morning. Kitchen.
Absolutely. So
Yes.
Kitchen, right?
Yes.
before you get out of bed, when you reach over and touch them and say,
Yeah.
wow, I'm glad that I have someone next to me, because not
Yeah.
everyone does.
Yeah.
We have
Words of affirmation, touch.
Yes.
I love
Also meditating too. I mean, that's something couples do, is to meditate. We coach them on meditating, because
Oh,
that
how
brings a different type of
wonderful.
connection first thing in the morning before you actually get out there in the world, especially if your schedules allow. Sit up, get out of bed, and just meditate together. 10 to 15 minutes.
I love that.
Yeah,
You guys
we often
meditate together in the
Yes.
morning?
Yes.
That's so beautiful. And it is so spiritual too.
Yes.
before we get out of bed.
Yep.
Every morning.
Wow. I love that. No wonder you're vibing so high.
You.
So sweet. You guys are beautiful. So how can people, if they want to get coached by you, they're like, I want more of what you guys have. Tell us the name of your podcast again, and also how they can reach you.
Sure. Our podcast is Loving Beyond the I Do, with your hosts here, Jason and Tina Marie. And it comes out every Wednesday.
Okay.
Okay. And every Friday we do a Friday Night Live to recap with that.
That's right.
With the guest, so that we can talk so that the audience can get a feel of who that person is and kind of ask questions, because sometimes we're listening to podcasts and we're talking to, talking
about the podcast and interacting.
No one can listen. So we give our listeners an opportunity to interact with our guest, or to pose questions, or just find out anything. So that's our podcast. And you can find it on YouTube. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, any place podcasts are listened to.
Yep. And our website is legendaryrelationship.com. That is our website, but our podcast website is lovingbeyondtheido.com.
Okay. And we'll put all this in the show notes for you guys. Also, can you just tell us, I know you have a book coming out soon.
Yes.
Can you tell us the title and a little bit about that so people can keep their eyes out for it?
Absolutely. So our famous thing is taking marriages off cruise control. And so when we talked about earlier about people getting married and not really maintaining it, that's what we do. We get married and then we hit the cruise button. Right. And we don't realize that we're not guiding it or steering it. So our book is about being intentional, maintaining your marriage.
Yes.
If you want a certain type of relationship, you have to steer it that way. So
Yeah.
it's taking marriages off cruise control. And it's just,
Okay.
really speaking to couples, giving some examples of couples that are doing it right.
It's a thought-provoking book. It's not so much we're telling you, but we want you to actually think about it, because most people don't think. He's like, I've been married for however long, and then I look up 20 years down the road, and I end up here. And then you turn around, it's like, how did I end up here? Like, I don't know. And that's what happens. So we want you to mindfully go through this relationship and think about and be strategic about your relationship and your marriage.
Yeah, we have to think like marriage is a partnership.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're partnering up with another business, you don't want to just leave that business to just, okay, wherever it goes, it goes. If we make money, we make. No, it's a partnership. So we have to I know Jason often says that we often look at the length people have been married with whether they're happy or not. Right. But it's not true. Because like you said,
it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Oh, they'll be quick to say, oh, I've been married 25 years. Like, yeah, well, how many of those years have you been happy?
Right.
And what are you doing to increase the happiness? Not just waiting, not just living life out.
Yeah.
Like, what is the purpose? Why are we here on earth? What is our purpose? And what are we doing to really bring it forth, to manifest not only our purpose, but our purpose with our mate?
Yeah, I love it.
Also, I forgot the social media handles, which is @Legendary Relationship on Facebook and Instagram. Sorry.
Awesome. Okay, well, you guys are such beautiful beings. I really love hanging out with you. Thank you for shining your light here. And I can tell you are doing amazing things for couples and helping them be happy couples. So thank you for that. Really appreciate you. Yeah.
Thank you, Tricia, for inviting us. We
had a blast.
It's
Thank you so
great
much.
to have you. I do have one last question for you as we close it out. This being the Heal Your Hunger show, and you can both answer. What is your deepest hunger?
I'm gonna let you go first.
Mine?
A little more time to think about it.
As far as food?
No, really your soul hunger.
My soul. Oh, to be the best person I could possibly be at all times. When there's things that's going on and I get beside myself and I'm not really the person that I should be, that's when I need to be that person. So when instances arise, I need to be the person I am when it's calm.
Yeah.
So that's what I continually work on.
I love it. Thank you for that. Tina Marie?
I think it's just really elevating to a point of awareness that I am living in my purpose.
Yes.
Right. So we are here for a reason. And I want to make sure that I don't leave anything left on the table. I'm living in my purpose. I'm touching lives. I'm making a difference. I'm impacting people. And that to me is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you are. You both are. I love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And thanks everybody for tuning in. Hasn't this been awesome? You guys just made
Yes.
it.
Thank you,
Thank
Tricia.
you.
You're
Thank
awesome.
you. Yes.
Have a great one.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.